I am this close to quitting. If you're someone who has a creative passion and you are struggling and you're considering just quitting and stopping, this is for you. We're in this together. I don't know if I can do this anymore. This sounds really dramatic. I am a suicide prevention counselor. I'm not talking about my life. I'm not talking about ending my life. I'm talking about ending my creative career vision goals, whatever. But not enough people are talking about how hard it is to have a creative pursuit that you are trying to make your living. I totally understand why some people live by the truth of not making your creative interest, whether it's painting or crocheting or puzzling, your career and keeping it as a hobby. Because for me, now that business and views and social media is involved, it is truly ruining the shit out of this fun. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric. I'm an interviewer, a host. I have a talk show called Wait, Say More. I'm probably a year in, basically. But lately, I have just been feeling so pessimistic about my ability to succeed in this capitalist rat race that is inevitably tied to making my dream happen. Yesterday, I hit a breaking point where I was just so overwhelmed. I think of myself as a very hard worker. I was spending hours editing, posting, trying to find the best clip. This is for a talk show, right? So it's almost like a podcast where you just really want to find the best 30-second clip, and you want to have the nice visuals and the nice subtitles and the nice editing and all of that stuff that I've had to learn throughout this process because I'm not an editor. But I spent so many hours doing that and juggling my full-time job and looking for other gigs and other opportunities because your boy's gotta, make an income living in Los Angeles, California. That said, I'm very grateful that I have a beautiful, wonderful house to live in. We're expressing our gratitude. But I just hit this point and felt a way that I have not felt in so long, where I truly just wanted to cry and break down and escape and feel some level of relief away from the hustle and the grind of trying to just get anyone to care about my creative project. A year ago, I envisioned myself as kind of popping off. I feel like a lot of us feel that way, whether we're content creators or just creative people, of wanting to just make it happen, and inevitably that leading to some impatience and leading to disappointment. Every time I have released an episode of my talk show, I have felt the worst I felt. It is almost without a doubt that every time I have released an episode, I know that I'm just going to feel like shit. And I really just wanted to talk about it and unpack some of that because I know that I can't be the only one. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one. Mm. Mm. Right now, I'm grappling with the fact that nobody seems to care about what I'm putting out there. I know that this is not true, ultimately, rationally, but I do want to make the case for why this could be more true than, say, even a year ago. When it comes to content, when it comes to podcasts or people's consumption of just media, I think that that's going down way more than the golden years of the pandemic and the post-pandemic 2022, 2023 era. And I can say that as a creative and a consumer, I feel that this is true. As a consumer, I feel like I cannot be bothered. I feel like in this socio-political shithole that we're living in, and being 27 during this exhausting political time, my time is precious. I'm spending hours working to make money, right? In this economy, we all are working way harder than I feel like we had to if we were adults 2 decades ago. We can't afford property. We can't live what adult life would have been like before. Now, I cannot be bothered watching a TV show. Miss me with that shit. Sometimes I want to escape. That happens. But most of the time, I would just much rather be with friends or use whatever leisure time I do have with other people. I'm an extrovert. I like hanging out with people. It's like my hobby, as stupid as it sounds to say. But the issue with this on the other side, as someone who is a creative, who's trying to put their stuff out there, who's trying to get attention and views and the algorithm, you have to know the algorithm now, and you need to be able to go viral, if you want any opportunity to actually be sustainable and make your passion your career, I am sensing that even my closest friends and acquaintances who used to listen to every episode and give their feedback and feel that level of enthusiasm, I feel that dwindling down completely. It's a very frustrating feeling. It feels like whatever audience I did have or whatever traction I was getting has not gone up, but has gone down. So I just want to say, if you feel like you're flopping, maybe you feel like you're flopping more than you were even before, there is a reason for that. I think people are drowning. I think people are really trying to be precious about the free time that they have, and people are just consuming less. Going back to that whole idea of consuming content for comfort or escapism, I am much more likely to just rewatch like a funny TV show like or RuPaul's Drag Race or Parks and Rec or the other two or whatever than take a chance on committing on something new. It's like with scarce leisure time, you just want to get in there, get quick, get the thing, get your fix and leave, which is similar to like the TikTok brain dopamine hit of it all. So anyways, going back to my crash out. I was just like, what is the point of this? I am putting so much of myself, so much of my identity, so much of my labor into this passion project where I am the boss and the worker. And it feels like it's not clicking. And I have to admit that getting validation from people or getting money from this is some of my motivation. I wouldn't be sitting here having these feelings if this passion were purely a creative hobby and I got everything that I wanted out of it from the inputs and from the process. I love the process. I love so many parts of the process. And then there's parts of the process that make me want to kill myself, not actually, like editing for hours and hours and hours a day and spending like 2 hours making sure that the placement of a certain subtitle looks good and that it's flashy enough, but not too flashy. It's not too produced, but it needs to be look nice and all of that shit. Basically just things that I don't care about, things that do not energize me. And after talking with my partner and friends, something that I'm gonna do, even though it already sounds like I feel weird even just saying it out loud, is give myself permission to let go. I'm giving myself permission to not have to work so extensively and so incessantly on something because I hope that it's gonna like blow up and because I think that another hour of editing is going to make it go from what, 200 views to 2 million views. That's not what's gonna happen. And even though I'm a hard worker, I'm recognizing that in this like media world at least, and in this world in general, hard work does not necessarily get you there. I really had to sit down though and ask myself, is this feeding me? Like for how much I'm putting into this bucket, is my bucket being filled? And the answer is no. Hi, kitty. There's a little catio. And one sign that I have to make a change in all of this and in my life is that I have a beautiful life. Part of me working hard is trying to create just like a life that is awesome with amazing people and amazing experiences and memories. My creative pursuit is now getting in the way of that, such that I now am enjoying the actual creative pursuit less and I'm enjoying my life outside of it also less. And if you're in a position like that too, my advice would also probably be to take a step back. I'm not someone who gives myself breaks and like, like that stuff is hard for me and like practicing self-care and like taking time away from it. That's honestly like requiring a lot of effort and is a challenge that I'm now subjecting myself to. I guess this video like doesn't count though. Like I'm just getting my thoughts out here. So something I'm going to try out, something I'm going to practice, and maybe you want to do it with me, I don't know, is just finding ways to maximize the parts that I love about making a talk show, interviewing people, having interesting conversations, talking about topics that matter, like doing something that just energizes me and speaks to why I actually care and what I want to deliver and bring to people, even if that number of people is not high. Maximizing the time to do that and minimizing the time of all the other stuff that I just do not like. And maybe that means paying someone else to help me. Maybe it means letting the actual product suffer and putting less pressure on, oh, it needs to be so perfect, it needs to be so packaged, etc. Maybe if you're like a content creator, maybe this is something that you're kind of thinking about too. Because the less time I spend on this, the more time I can spend on my actual life outside of it. If you needed someone to tell you that you can give yourself permission to do less, let this be that permission. Because one piece of amazing advice that I got from a content creator mentor who's very successful, has like hundreds of thousands of followers, is asking yourself, what is the thing that you can do that gives you the most satisfaction in the least amount of time? He turns out content 5 to 12 TikToks a day and takes breaks. I find myself asking myself, like, how can I make this the best thing possible? How can I attract as many people as possible? When really at the end of the day, in a world where consistency matters, frequency is rewarded over quality sometimes, I'm asking myself, like, what is the least effort I can put into just making something? And I feel like that's a great place to kind of go back to and to start again. Now I'm just thinking about all the things that I could be doing by spending less time on my creative baby and my passion project, which is actually taking time to enjoy my life and not feeling like I have to suffer in order to make it, in order to then enjoy life. I can actually go out and experience more things and be connected to people so that I even have things that I can talk about or that I can even create or speak to, because I can't deal with feeling isolated in my creative work anymore. Like, the whole point of me, and maybe this is the case for you too, of wanting to have a creative hobby is to connect with people, to find some community, to talk to people who are experiencing the same thing as you, and to find people. And so much of being creative is so insular. You could be a content creator and you can make and film and write and edit all of your own stuff, and you can do all of that literally just by yourself. And there's, benefits of that for sure. But for me, creativity and creation is about building community in a world that is like so dispersed and feels so disconnected, and it's just harder to make friends and it's harder to find people who are like-minded. That's what creating is all about in my mind. I'm giving myself permission to not quit, but to take a step back and to actually think about, what do I want out of this and what is actually feeding me? And even if it means that the actual product or the thing that I'm making isn't as good or as polished, so be it. Because it's not like I'm in a place where I have millions of views and millions of people watching my stuff. Like, actually the stakes are quite low and I actually have quite little to lose. It's like the difference between getting like another 100 views, not another million views. So ultimately, if you are on the verge of quitting, or if you feel like shit, or you're confused as to why your passion project is making you feel bad and not good, I think it's part of it. And it truly is normal and part of the whole experience. And something I'm trying to figure out is what kind of struggle in all of this is for my growth versus what just sucks and is something that I don't need to actually subject myself to anymore. And to me, it's becoming clear that what I need to do is to learn how to detach myself from this, which is ironic because especially if you're someone who like has to work or needs a job in order to sustain your creative project, like you expect, or you put so much expectation into that creative project, then giving you all the joy and all of the goodies of the world and all of the amazing feelings. But that's just like not really a reality, I feel like. I don't want to keep feeling like a failure every time I put myself out there creatively. And one way that I'm going to do that now is to just put in less of myself into it and focus on the parts and the processes and the inputs that give me that energy, and not put so much of myself into the parts where the payoff is out of my control. And if that makes it harder for me to grow, for me to get more attention, so be it. Because I got to look out for myself. So lastly, let this be an opportunity for you to give yourself less pressure and take some of the pressure off all of this and to take a break. Because I know for me, it feels like I didn't get what I wanted from posting my latest episode this past week because I put so much pressure and expectation on it. And I'm going to take my break. And next week, I'm going to come back and make the process and therefore the product less anxiety ridden and scarcity mindset driven. Oh, that rhymed. My same mentor did tell me that, like, even based on the way that I edited, based on the way that I made the clips or how I cut for, like, all of these things, like, you can tell, you can smell the anxiety in it. Like, basically, like, I'm just begging for your attention. And I promise I'm going to grab your attention for the first 3 seconds of the clip because that's what you're supposed to do in a TikTok and in an Instagram reel. Like, I promise that you're just going to do that. People on the other side of that screen or on the other side of the gallery, they can smell that and they can sense that. And I think that's just an important thing to remember is that energetically, if your input is driven by fear and desperation, that is going to show up in the output. There is power in caring less, or rather caring for yourself more and putting yourself at the center of it. Because no one is expecting you to do these things because everyone's like caring about themselves. I've been working so hard and so deeply and so much in this that I don't even know what I like about it. And that's what's making me now think so much about what other people are gonna like and what are other people, what's gonna make them like watch or engage or whatever. And that is not the way that you make something that ultimately sticks with people. The way that you make something that ultimately sticks with people is by doing and creating based on the parts of you that are coming from love and abundance and connection and passion. So yeah, ultimately, I'm not going to give up because there's just something in me that fuels me no matter what. Maybe the actual product will look different. Maybe I'm not going to be, it's not going to look the same as how I envisioned it a year ago or even last week. But in a lot of ways, that's going to make it even better because it's going to be something that serves me. So, I guess we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Okay. Yay. I think I feel better. Even if no one watches this, I'm still happy that I did it. Yeah, because I'm that bit.